Cerebellar veins consist of superior cerebellar veins, inferior cerebellar veins, dorsal cerebellar veins. Dural venous sinuses, also called dural sinuses, cerebral sinuses, or cranial sinuses, include two COS, confluence of sinuses, also known as torcular herophily, torcular or confluence sinuum in Latin, two CS, cavernous sinus, two IJV, internal jugular vein. COS, confluence of sinuses, also known as torcular herophily, torcular or confluence sinuum in Latin, is drained to by superior sagittal sinus, also known as the superior longitudinal sinus, straight sinus, also known as tendorial sinus or the sinus rectus, which is drained to by inferior sagittal sinus, also known as inferior longitudinal sinus, occipital sinus. CS, cavernous sinus, is drained to by sphenoparietal sinus, superior ophthalmic vein, which is drained to by ethmoidal veins, central retinal vein, also known as retinal vein, nasofrontal vein, varicose veins, referred to clinically as the vortex veins, inferior ophthalmic vein, two intercavernous sinuses connect the two intercavernous sinuses across the middle line. IJV, internal jugular vein, is drained to by sigmoid sinuses, also known as the pars sigmoid, which are drained to by transverse sinuses, left and right lateral sinuses. Petrosquamous sinus, if present, opens into the transverse sinus. Superior petrosal sinus drains to transverse sinus. Inferior petrosal sinuses drain to IJV, internal jugular vein. Basilar plexus, also known as transverse or basilar sinus, connect the two inferior petrosal sinuses. Internal auditory veins, also known as veins of a labyrinth, end in the posterior part of the superior petrosal sinus or in the transverse sinus. Condylar emissary vein connect the suboccipital plexus of veins with the sigmoid vein sinus. Facial vein, also known as anterior facial vein and common facial vein, include frontal vein, also known as supratrochlear vein, supraorbital vein, which drains to angular vein, which drains to facial vein, superior labial vein, which drains to facial vein, inferior labial vein, which drains to facial vein, deep facial vein, which drains to facial vein. Other veins that directly drain to internal jugular vein include lingual veins, which include and are drained to by dorsal lingual veins, deep lingual vein, sublingual vein, pharyngeal veins, superior thyroid vein, which is drained to by superior laryngeal vein, middle thyroid vein, which also known as vena thyroidea media in Latin.